Hi, everyone. We're going to get started in just about another minute or so as everyone's joining in. And we will be using a chair for our practice today. So if you don't have one already or not nearby a couch, just grab a comfortable chair that you can sit in. And we'll get started in just a minute. All right. So apologies if anyone was having trouble getting into the class tonight. But I think everyone has been starting to trickle in, so we will get started. And we're going to start seated in our chair. So do a quick adjustment here. So just getting comfortable, seeing if you can maybe plant your feet down onto the floor. And if maybe not to the floor directly, you might plant your feet down onto a pillow, or if you have two yoga blocks nearby, you can also do that. You might even find that you're sitting a little bit more towards the front of the chair rather than leaning all the way back. So knees can be bent, feet can be planted, hands can just rest comfortably onto the thighs or the lap. And our practice today is going to be a little bit of movement throughout the body. We're going to do a good full body practice, and we're going to work on a standing posture later today too, which of course we can take any of these shapes that we're doing and adjust them to how we need to move through this practice today, making sure that we're feeling comfortable and stable in these shapes. And we'll end with some breathing and a gratitude practice, a really nice breathwork and gratitude practice together. And my name is Cassandra, and I'm zooming in tonight from Peterborough, New Hampshire, from the East Coast. So thank you for being here. And once you're comfortable in your chair, you give your shoulders a few rolls back and down. And then let the shoulders just fall down away from the ears, let the arms relax, and maybe even close your eyes to start. You might take a moment to notice any sounds or noises or distractions in the space that you're in right now, if there are any. Just try to notice and acknowledge those sounds. Begin to draw your awareness more inward. And we'll start our practice by just moving our attention, our awareness through the body with a quick scan, starting at the feet and working our way up to the very top of the head. And as you're scanning, just noticing any sensations that may be present in the body tonight. So noticing the feet, the toes, scanning up the ankles, the lower legs, the knees, up to the upper leg, the thighs, to the glutes, feeling the glutes resting on your chair, the hips. Moving up the torso, up the front of the body, you can notice the lower abdomen, upper abdomen, the chest. The back of the body, scanning up the spine, the low back, the mid back, the upper back, the shoulders, scanning down the arms, elbows, wrists and hands, up the neck, the head, noticing and relaxing all the features of the face. And bringing the awareness right to the tip of the nose and start to feel your breath moving in and out of your nose. And maybe as you're watching your breath here, the breath just gets a little slower and a little fuller. If you would like to set a personal intention for this practice, you can start to think of a word or maybe a short phrase, something that you'd like to focus on tonight or something you'd like to cultivate. You're welcome to bring one or both hands onto the heart center as you think of that positive intention. Once you have that set, allow the hands to release back down towards the thighs or the lap. And if your eyes are closed, very gently start to blink them back to open. Take your time. And once you arrive with the eyes open, let's let the arms dangle down a little bit, let the shoulders relax. And we're going to take a nice sweep of the arms out to the side and up to the ceiling as you breathe in. Deep inhale. And then a long exhale, just let the hands float right back down by the sides. And we'll take that twice more. Inhaling to lift the arms up, maybe even looking up slightly. And exhale, let the hands come down. One more time, taking a full breath in. And if it's comfortable, as you breathe out, open the mouth, take a sigh. Let the hands relax back into the lap. We're going to do a little bit of movement for the neck. So everything from the shoulders down can stay pretty still. Let the shoulders relax away from the ears. You can take an inhale. And as you exhale, let your chin start to drop in towards the chest. So you're shifting your gaze down towards the lap or towards the legs. Gently lift your head back up to neutral, back to center. And let's tilt the head so the right ear comes a little closer towards the right shoulder. And as you do this, try to keep that right shoulder just relaxing down so we don't lift the shoulder up. And bringing that back to center, then over to the other side. Left ear a little closer towards the left shoulder. Keeping both shoulders releasing away from the ears. And slowly bring the head up through center. And from center, we're going to turn and look over the right shoulder. And try to keep the turn just through the head and the neck so the torso doesn't turn as well. We'll keep that left shoulder dropping back and down. And if you'd like to explore a little bit more of a stretch here, you have the option to drop your chin down towards your collarbone, shifting the gaze a little bit more towards the floor. And if you do have your chin lowered, let's lift that back up first. And take your time turning the head back to center. And then keep going to look over your left shoulder. And if you tried it on the first side, maybe letting the chin lower down towards the collarbone. Lift the chin back up. And make your way back to center. When you get to center, you can take a few rolls of your shoulders again, squeezing the shoulders up to the ears and then rolling them back and down. Good. And then from here, we're going to let our right arm come down. If you're seated in a chair, maybe you're holding on to the side of the chair. Left hand's just going to come to rest right at the center of the chest. Try to sit up as tall as you can first here. And then we're going to take a little side bend, leaning up and over to the right. And keeping that right sitting bone anchored to the chair, and you're leaning your head away. A little spin of the chest up towards the ceiling. If you want a little deeper stretch, maybe that top arm reaches up and overhead. Let's take a really full breath here. Lifting your head back up to the ceiling and lowering that left hand down if it was lifted. And other side. So holding on to the chair with your left hand, your right hand can come onto the center of the chest. Sitting up tall as you breathe in, and then taking a little side bend up and over to the left as you breathe out. And again, option for right arm this time to reach up and overhead. And one more full breath. And then lifting yourself all the way back upright. Once you're upright, take your left hand and cross it over onto your right knee or just outside of your thigh. And your right hand's going to reach back. It could be towards the back of the chair. I'm kind of holding on to the back top of the chair here. We're going to try to lengthen our spine first. So rooting into your sitting bones, lifting the crown of the head up towards the ceiling. And then just start to take a little rotation over to the right. And gaze can stay to the right, or maybe it rotates a little bit more over that right shoulder. First, moving the head back to neutral, then the rest of the torso can follow, rotating back to center. We'll just switch this over to the other side. Right hand onto the left knee or thigh. Left hand's going to reach to the back of the chair. First, sit up as tall as you can. Lift your head up to the ceiling, and then start to find some rotation to the left. Same option for the gaze to turn a little bit more over that left shoulder. You can unwind that, bring it back to center. From center, just make sure you're seated a little bit more towards the front of your chair. So you have some space between your back and the seat back of the chair. And we're going to take our hands forward onto our thighs or onto the front of the knees. And these next two shapes, we're going to start to move our spine with a little lift of the chest and then a little bit of rounding. And just keeping the motion in a way that feels good in your back. I'm going to turn to the side and hopefully give you a little bit better view of what we're doing here. So we're going to start by drawing the shoulders and the elbows back, rocking forward on the seat and lifting the chest up, maybe even lifting the chin up slightly. And then just flipping that shape, chin can come to the chest, rocking back on your tailbone, rounding your spine. You're almost pushing your back towards the back of the chair. We'll move these two with the breath. So as you inhale, you can lift the heart up, draw the shoulders back, maybe lift the gaze up slightly. And then exhale, chin to chest, rounding the spine and gazing down towards your thighs or towards your lap. And we'll just do this a few more times, following your breath. Your inhale, lifting the chest up. And your exhale, rounding the spine, looking down. And let's do this two more times. Inhaling. Exhale. Inhale. And exhale. And taking your spine back upright to neutral. We're going to do a little movement for the hips now. So with your left hand, you can hold on to your left knee and maybe even lift the foot up away from the floor. And if you need to lean back to help do that, go for it. And then we're just going to move the knee around. So really we're kind of circling the thigh bone in the hip here. And these circles can be as small or as big as feels good in your body. And once you've done a few circles in one direction, you can take a few circles around the other way. Okay, you could also do this with the toes staying down on the floor and still moving the knee. And then that left foot can come back down. And we'll switch this over to the other side. So maybe lifting the right knee up, lifting the right foot up, taking those circles, or maybe keeping the toes down to the floor. And once you've done a few circles in one direction, you can take that around the other way. And then back to center, planting the foot down. So once you have both knees bent, both feet planted, we're going to reach our hands down to the seat of the chair to kind of hold on a little bit. And again, you might take a little bit of a lean back to help with this. We're going to lift the left foot, straighten the left leg out, re-bend the knee, and set the foot down. We'll go to the other side. Lift the right foot, straighten the leg, straighten the knee, re-bend, and plant down. Let's try that again. Left foot lifts, extend out, re-bend, and plant. Right side lifts, extend, bend, and plant. We're going to stretch our left leg out, but you can just take the heel down to the floor in front of you. And start to circle the foot around. I'll lift my foot up a little bit just so you can see some circles of the ankle around. And same thing, just like with the hip, these can be as small or as big as feels good. Take the circles both ways. And you can flex your foot. Think about drawing the toes back towards your knee. And then point the foot. Take that a few times, lifting the toes and then pointing the toes forward. And then we'll re-bend the left knee and plant that foot down. Taking that over to the right side, extend the leg out. The heel can rest onto the floor if that feels good. And we'll start with some circles of that right ankle around. And take those circles the other way. You can flex the foot, toes up towards the ceiling, and then point the toes forward. Take that a few times. And re-bend the knee and let the foot come down. Hands are going to come onto the thighs, onto the knees, coming right to the very front of the chair, still anchored in those sits bones. If you'd like, you can stretch your feet a little bit further out in front of you. We're going to take a seated forward fold. We're going to think about moving from our hips and starting to lean forward. Some of us might keep our spine a little bit more straight if we're not supposed to round through the low back. If it's feeling okay to get a little further, hands might start to slide down the knees, maybe towards the shins, letting the torso get a little closer to the thighs, and for some of us, the hands might slide down towards the ankles or towards the feet. Once you've found your seated forward fold here, just take a couple of breaths. Maybe you're thinking about sending the breath to where you're feeling the stretch in your body here. And we're going to slowly make our way back upright. You can start to slide your hands back up the shins, to the knees, to the thighs, and lift your head up to the ceiling. Once you come upright, maybe a few more rolls of those shoulders, up to the ears, back and down. All right. So we're going to look at one of our warrior poses. Starting with both knees bent and both feet planted, we're going to allow the right hip to open slightly to the side. So you can start to move your right foot a little bit more to the side. Maybe that knee goes at an angle, or maybe it even points out to the right side of the room. See what feels comfortable in your hip today. And we're keeping that right knee bent so the knee is just about over the ankle. Our left leg is going to stretch out in the other direction a little bit longer. So again, it could be at an angle that's directed a little bit more towards the screen or a little bit more forward, or it could be a little bit more out to the side. Okay, so this warrior shape is giving us a little bit of hip opening here. We're feeling our shoulders stacked right over our hips, our chest is lifted. And then we're going to turn our gaze over our right shoulder. You're welcome to stretch that right arm out to the side so your hand reaches out in line with your shoulder. Try to feel both feet pressing down towards the earth, so there's some strength in the feet and the legs. This is a strong warrior pose, but also feeling a lightness and a lift up through the torso, through the top of the head. You're welcome to stay right here in our Warrior Two pose. Some of us might bring that right hand onto the heart center, and like we did before, take a little side bend away from your right knee, leaning back, lifting the chest up. If you're leaning back, lift your head up to the ceiling and lower the hands down. And let's slowly bring our legs and feet back in so the knees are bent and the feet are planted right in front of us. You can pause for a breath or two here, maybe noticing how one side of the body feels compared to the other. And then we'll try that shape on the second side. So it's our left knee that's going to stay bent. We're just going to let that knee come out to the side, foot out to the side a little bit. The right leg is going to stretch out longer. And again, maybe it's at a little bit of an angle, or maybe it's a little bit more to the side of the room. Feel your chest opening, your shoulders right over your hips. And then our gaze is going to turn over the left shoulder. So kind of looking in the direction that our bent knee is going. Hands can stay low, or maybe that left arm stretches out. Feeling a little press down into the feet, feeling a lift up through the top of the head. With the option to do that little side bend, hand might come onto heart center, leaning back, leaning to the right away from our knees. This is our reverse warrior shape. Let's take one more inhale and one more exhale. Lifting the head back up. If you're in the side bend, hands can come down. You might use the hands to assist in bringing the knees and the legs back in. And again, knees bent, feet planted, and just pausing for a moment here. What I'd like to offer for this next shape is a version in the chair and also a version from standing up. It's going to be our tree pose. And tree pose has one leg that is straight and one knee that opens slightly to the side. So if we're staying seated in the chair, you can let your right leg go out long. You can walk your left foot in a little closer to the right leg and let this knee open. So we're letting that left hip kind of open to the side, knee to the side. Chest is lifting, and hands could always be on the chair for a little bit more support, or maybe one or both hands could come to the heart center, lifting the head up, lengthening through the spine. So this is just one option that our chair pose could look like for tonight. Sorry, our tree pose in the chair tonight. Another option is to take this pose standing up. So if you'd like to try standing, maybe moving yourself a little closer to a wall or a piece of furniture for support, I'm just going to turn my chair so I have the top of the chair to use for support. And very similar to what I just showed from the seated position, one leg is going to stay straight, and here we'll take our left ankle and bring it in, our left heel in towards our right ankle. And again, we're letting the left hip open, the knee's going to point to the side. Standing really strongly on that right foot, lifting the head up. And then maybe from here, one hand to the heart center. Try to focus your gaze just straight in front of you to something that's not moving if you can. That will help with some stability in your balance. And take another breath or two. If your hand is on your heart center, you can lower it down. We'll draw that left knee in and plant both feet. So either both knees bent and feet planted in the chair, both feet planted if you're standing. Just take a moment here. And then we'll bring that over to the other side. So our left leg will stay straight. If we're seated, that left leg will stretch out long in front of us. If we're standing, we're bringing a little bit more weight over to the left foot. And then lifting the right heel, maybe sliding it closer towards that left foot and letting the knee open, the hip open. So just like in our warrior two pose that we did seated, the knee is going in one direction, the chest is staying lifting forward. And have our hand on the chair or by the wall for a little bit more support. And if it's comfortable, that second hand lifts up to the heart. Feel the rooting down into the feet, the strength through the legs. A little bit of lift and lightness through the upper body. Let's all take one more breath in. And one more breath out. Lowering both feet down. If you're standing, lowering your hands down. If you're seated, you can bend both knees and plant the feet. And we'll all make our way back down to the chair, back to a seated position. Once again, you can kind of sit a little bit more towards the front edge of the chair seat. And our final shape tonight, before we get into our breathing and our meditation, it's going to be a little bit more of a stretch for the outer hip, upper part of the leg, maybe even a little bit into the glute. So we're going to start by lifting our left foot up and taking the left ankle and crossing it up and over the right knee, right above the knee onto the thigh. If this feels a little too high or already getting a lot of sensation, you can always walk that right foot a little bit more forward, lowering the shape down, maybe a little less intense. Try to allow that knee to relax and the hip to open and see how this is feeling for you. If this is enough, you can stay right here, maybe even closing your eyes for a few breaths. If you're looking for a little bit more stretch tonight, you can start to lean the torso forward, hinging from the hips, just letting the chest get a little closer towards that front shin. And once you find that stretch, a comfortable amount of stretch in your body tonight, take a couple of deep breaths. If you are leaning forward, you can start to lift your head back up to the ceiling. Maybe lean back slightly. We'll slide that left ankle off, planting the left foot to the floor. Pause here, take a breath in and a breath out. And then second side, we'll lift the right leg, take the ankle above the knee, allowing the knee and the hip to relax open. And again, if this is feeling a little too much or you're having trouble lifting the ankle all the way, you can always extend that left leg out a little longer. And honoring that this side might feel a little different from the first side. So maybe you stay right here. Maybe you take that little hinge forward from the hips, lean the torso forward. Let's take one more full breath. And if you're leaning forward, you can start to lift upright and then slowly release the foot back down. And take a quick check into your body. If anything else needs a little bit of movement or a little bit of a shakeout before we get to some relaxation, feel free to take a little bit of movement. And as we set ourselves up for relaxation, you have a few options. You can stay seated in the chair. And if that's the case, I'd recommend now scooching yourself back so you can actually lean back in your chair or maybe onto your couch or recliner if that's nearby. Some of us might prefer to come to lie down on the floor. And if that's you, just take your time coming down, grabbing any support that you might need for your final relaxation. So we're allowing our body to find a space where it can rest and release. Seated in the chair or lying down. I'm going to give you about a minute to make your way there. If you are choosing to lie down on the floor, option for the legs to be long or the knees to bend. Just let your spine relax and your arms open. If you're in the chair or couch, leaning back, bring some support in so you feel stable and comfortable. And once you are in your relaxation shape, you are welcome to close the eyes. If you're keeping your eyes open, maybe just a soft gaze to one single point up on your ceiling or straight ahead. Take another quick scan through the body, and if there's any other little adjustments that you can make that can help your body relax, feel free to take those now, so that the body can stay pretty relaxed throughout this practice. And we're going to be looking at combining our breathing with some mindfulness and a gratitude practice today. So to start, you can bring your attention back onto your breath. Maybe back up to the tip of the nose, so you're feeling your breath move in and out of the body. And maybe your breath begins to get a little slower and a little deeper, a little fuller through the torso. And we're going to begin to bring our breath into a balanced and even length rhythm. So you can mentally to yourself count out the length of your inhale, and then count out the length of your exhale. And if those two numbers don't already match, you can start to slow down the breath, so that if you're inhaling to a count of 3, then your exhale is also to a count of 3. We want to keep the breath really steady and smooth, no force or strain to the breath. If it feels available, you might lengthen your breath to a count of 4 on both the inhalation and the exhalation. So breathing in, 2, 3, 4, breathing out, 2, 3, 4, breathing in, 2, 3, 4, breathing out, 2, 3, 4. And just keep that count going for a few more rounds. So you're establishing your own even length rhythm breath. We're going to keep the breath flowing in this really steady rhythm, this balanced rhythm. And with your inhale, you might imagine that you're breathing in a little bit more ease and relaxation. And maybe with the exhale, just releasing any tension. Breathing in ease and relaxation. Breathing out anything that you need to release, any tension. Keeping the breath flowing, I want you to now think of someone or something in your life that might bring about a feeling of care and appreciation. It could be a person, it could be a pet, it could be your favorite relaxation spot, your vacation spot. And try to feel a sense of gratitude, breathing in a sense of appreciation and care for this place or this soul. As you breathe in, thinking about breathing in that gratitude, that positive feeling. As you breathe out, you might think about sharing that sense of appreciation with that person or that place or that thing. So we're keeping the breath in that really steady, even length rhythm. You're breathing in that positive feeling and breathing out that sense of appreciation to that person, that place. And for this next minute or two, you're welcome to stay with that one person, place, space that you chose, or you can start to expand this practice out to a few different people or places or things. So thinking of the things that make you feel at ease and cared for, that bring a sense of peace into your life. You can visualize breathing in that positive feeling. And as you exhale, you're breathing out that feeling of appreciation to that person, that place, that thing. And we'll stay here for about another minute with your even length breath and this practice of gratitude. You can take another breath or two here, feeling that gratefulness again, that appreciation, that sense of ease and relaxation. And then allowing the breath to relax. Let your breath just return to a natural rhythm, an automatic rhythm. Releasing this practice for now, but knowing that you can always return to it whenever you need to. And we're going to start to slowly reawaken our body. So there can be a little movement coming back into the fingers and into the toes. Maybe give your wrists a little circle. Gently turn your head side to side. You might even give your arms a stretch. And if you are lying down, bending your knees and starting to make your way up to a seated position. If you're leaning back in your chair on the couch, you can just start to lift yourself up a little bit more upright. Welcome to keep the eyes closed or the gaze low. And then once you're upright, taking one hand onto the heart center and the other hand right on top of that. Taking a deep breath in and a slow breath out. And thank you so much for joining in to this practice. Namaste.